The battle of wizards and warriors continues with iron swords. The evil wizard Malkill will take the shape of the earth, wind, water, and fire. Farewell! The fate of the world is in your hands!
You're listening to the Piercing Wizard podcast, and I'm your host, Ryan Willett. I'm a professional body piercer with 20 years experience. I travel around the world teaching technique and safety classes, and I'm a member of the Association of Professional Piercers. Listen in as I talk to my friends and colleagues about our industry so we can all stay sharp. Hi everybody, welcome back to a new episode of the Piercing Wizard podcast. I'm going to do kind of a classic episode. I'm going to do a piercer interview with Jonahan Goshorn. Jonathan was one of the APP scholars for 2023, has a lot of good insight. Now is scholarship season, so I want to talk about a few APP related things and then we'll go ahead and get into that interview. I want to let you know that if you are an APP business member or a business member at large, you have up until December 9th to cast your vote for the next crop of the board of directors members for the APP. So I'm trying not to be horribly biased when I say this, but vote for Lola Slider. Lola Slider, the co-host of this very podcast, has accepted her nomination to run, and Lola is up for a vote for one of the seats on the APP's board of directors. So I think Lola would be fantastic for the role. I've seen her instruct. I've seen her be on the board of the UK APP. I've seen her volunteer work. I've seen her outreach, and I know her really well as a body piercer and as a person, and she absolutely has my vote. There are 4 seats open right now for the board of directors, so if you're a member, log in. You've already been sent an email with all the login links and details. Log in and you can read the bios for everyone who has accepted a nomination, for everyone who's running for this cycle. So cast your vote. You have 4 people you can select. You don't have to fill all 4 of those votes. If you want to just vote for one person, you can do that. But I would urge you to read those bios, vote for 4 people that you think would help to move the APP forward. And if you're an APP member, you only have until December 9th, 2025 to do it. So don't miss out on your chance to participate and vote. And right now is also Legacy Scholarship application season. So if you are a body piercer and you're trying to get out to the APP conference in Las Vegas in summer 2026, if you need a helping hand to get there, that's exactly what the scholarships are for. This might be your way to get to conference. So go to the APP's website right now, safepiercing.org/legacy-scholarships, and you can read everything you need to do to apply for this. You have until the end of the year. You have until the end of December 31st, 2025 to submit a completed application. So don't leave it to the last minute. Put together a solid application. You'll need some reference letters. You'll need to record a short video, and you need to fill out a small amount of information in an essay. Tell us who you are, where you're at in your career, and let's try to get you to Las Vegas. So for now, I want to go ahead and get into this podcast interview with Jonahan Goshorn. Jonathan was someone who went through that application process, so he has a lot of great information to share with you. He started his piercing career in early 2020, and you can imagine the difficulties of someone trying to learn a new craft during the pandemic. So he talks about learning, going from an apprentice to a junior piercer to a more experienced piercer, the scholarship and finding the bravery to get there and get to conference, putting in that work, and finding your confidence as a body piercer. So it's a fantastic story. It's a great interview. Let's go ahead and talk to Jonahan Goshorn. And don't forget, if you're an APP member, vote. And if you're trying to get to the APP conference, check out the Legacy Scholarship. All right, so I have the horn, Mr. Goss Horn. So just last name things, like my name gets massacred. Do people call you like Goshorn all the time, or do people like get the Goss Horn thing?
Oh, I get Gosh Horn a lot. Gosh Horn, Gosh Horn. My last name is weird because it's like German. My dad is from Pennsylvania, so when I go to Pennsylvania in that area, like a Dutch area, they'll say Goshorn. So I
Okay.
don't even know if I'm actually pronouncing it correctly. So I just go with Goshorn, and as long as you're nice to me, I don't care what you call me. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I say Willette for my name, but my dad says Olette because through a lifetime of people mispronouncing it, he just got sick of it. And he's like, just say Olette.
Oh yeah, at some point you're just like, well, as long as you know who I am, who cares, right?
Right. As long as you're not calling me asshole, that's fine.
Exactly. Or late to dinner.
So go ahead and do like introduce yourself. You can say, where you're working, any social media stuff, and then we can get into it.
Sure. My name is Jonahan Goshorn. I'm currently just started a new job at Embellish Me in Greenville, South Carolina. For my social medias, you can find me on Instagram, The Poetic Piercer. I still also have a Facebook with that, but mainly I use my main Facebook, my name, Jonahan Goshorn, if anyone wants to get in touch with me through there.
Social media is a weird thing. Like, do you do any other stuff like TikTok or anything like that?
I don't do TikTok. I have it, but I choose not to. I found myself getting too addicted to social media for a while, and
Yeah,
TikTok is designed to make you addicted to it. And for my
right.
own mental health, I chose not to. I see it as a great platform if someone you can use it responsibly, but for me, I found it unnecessary. It really wasn't helping me with my career, so I mainly just use Instagram to post pictures and communicate with people.
Yeah, yeah. Social media is always weird to me. Like I barely post at this point. Like when I do post, it's like, oh yeah, I'm also a body piercer. I like to pierce, but I'm not super engaged with social media at this point. I can see it have like a really positive benefit on piercers, but it seems like you have to just constantly be putting out content, constantly be posting about stuff, or people might just forget that you have the page in a couple of weeks. So social media is like kind of a love-hate thing for me right now.
For sure.
So we met through the scholarship process, and you were a scholar to the APP conference for 2023, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So going back, like we do kind of like a pre-interview questionnaire sort of a thing, so I know like what points to hit on, and I thought it was really interesting that you come from like the cursed generation of body piercing. Like you started your staff work, like you started in a shop in March of 2020, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I started as a front desk. It was mainly just a part-time gig. If you want to get like my piercing lore, or as I call it, my piercing journey. I
Yeah,
started March of 2020, and then literally a week later, everything got shut down.
yeah.
So I had another job. This is just a part, it was supposed to be a part-time thing, turned into so much more. But yeah, I guess it is the cursed generation. I'm still used to telling everyone about masks, even though people barely wear masks anymore. I still keep it as part of like my aftercare, just out of habit, really.
So you were a counter person during probably a weird period where there might not have been a lot of people coming through the door or a lot of things to do, and then you kind of ended up getting an apprenticeship spot later on in 2020. So how did that come about? Was that like an aspiration of yours before?
No, not at all. So if you don't mind me going back about a year, what
No, yeah,
happened with
go for it.
me was, yeah, for me, I never felt like the pandemic was that big of a deal because my life had already kind of been uprooted the year before. I was working at a plant job working with polymer in 2019 until 2019 when I got fired, slash doing layoffs and overworking myself to try to get ahead in life and not having a good work-life balance. And I broke something and then they ended up doing layoffs. I got fired and I was trying to get back on my feet. So early in the year, I was working at like a dollar store part-time while working a warehouse job. And I had 4 days off a week, and I saw there was a piercing shop hiring. I got my nose pierced there, and I was like, maybe I could do front desk. I've done a bunch of other retail jobs. It should be easy. It will just be a little something to get a little catched up on money. And then I ended up falling in love with piercing, started doing it, did front desk. She needed a piercer. I was hesitant because I was like, I don't think I'll be good at it. I don't think I'll make money. And at the time, I just had one kid, and I need to make sure that I'm making a wise move in my career so I can support her and myself and not just do something I just really like and then make no money at it.
Mm.
But as I started trying to do it, I started to fall in love with it, seeing the benefits of it, and slowly got better at it through a lot of trial and error and just working with my own mental and also overcoming a lot of those obstacles that come when you first start piercing.
So did you have a mentor that was engaged with you, or did you have to kind of struggle to find information like outside of the shop, outside of your shop?
I had a mentor, and she was helpful and gave what knowledge she had, but I always felt like for me, I needed more information. I
Yeah.
always was like, I need to understand things in a different way. I need additional information. It's the same way I play video games. I'll like go and research and figure out better ways to do something and just look at it from a different angle. And so I found myself being put on a path. So for that educational side what had happened was before I started piercing, I had went to a shop about an hour away where I had some friends that worked at. I checked the shop out just to kind of see how it flowed because I always like to get different views of things. Even when I worked at other jobs, I'd always stop at a different store and be like, "Hey, how does this stuff work with you guys and what can I take and learn?" So I stopped by and I had spoken. I knew Jada Smith at Heat Street, and then also Carl I had known for years previously. And Carl sit there, he talked with me, he ended up giving me a helix piercing, and also put me on the APP scholarship, and also put me on your podcast and eventually your Patreon. And I started diving into that knowledge. So before I even knew what a bevel was, I was learning about bevel theory, uh, working at the Target Distribution Center loading trucks, listening to your podcast, just trying to keep learning information about piercing. And then eventually started doing like your Patreon, doing your online classes to help supplement the knowledge I was getting in the shop because I found myself always wanting to do it better and learn a better way. And I think that you should always have multiple sources of education to really make yourself a well-rounded person.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to me when people say that I've been a beneficial resource. I mean, like obviously, like I'm trying to make classes and podcasts and put it out there in the world for people, but like a lot of times I do that without a lot of feedback or anything. Like I'm just here on my little island in New Hampshire putting stuff out there and hoping people listen to it. So it's it's cool and it's always appreciated when people say that they found it and it helped. As the generation of piercer who had access to tons of information when they were starting. Do you have like a golden age syndrome about body piercing? Like, do you think of like a nostalgic body piercing in the 90s or the early 2000s where for me it's like this nostalgic thing of people were struggling, they didn't have a lot of mentoring, they didn't have a lot of education, and somehow they would still kind of muddle through, learn stuff, figure stuff out. But I think that it's a lot better for piercers to not have to struggle and guess so much and figure stuff out and be able to see all those different perspectives online. So, what was it like for you? Do you feel like that was, in a way, kind of like a boost, kind of a shortcut, a big benefit? Like, how did it feel for you, like in a generation that can learn so quickly and progress so quickly?
I it felt amazing to be honest. I think that it definitely made it so that I didn't give up body piercing out of just pure frustration of not knowing what was going on or how to do something. So for me, I think it makes everything a lot easier if you're willing to take that knowledge. I'll even look back at like when I was just going somewhere for the first time. I went to Disney World for the first time. Used MapQuest, printed out directions and got there and made some mistakes, didn't know where I was going. Now you have a GPS. With online piercing education, you can cut out a lot of that mistakes and figure out where to go, what information you need. So I think it piercers now have a lot more availability from what I can understand. I didn't start since I wasn't a piercer in the 90s, it's hard to know exactly how that was, but I can only imagine how you would just be a lot of trial and error, learning and unlearning, maybe getting some information from somebody. But without that online community, you're going to struggle a lot more. So I definitely was able to fast track a lot of stuff or learn quicker than probably previous generations.
Yeah, like there were a lot of mistakes that I made and peers made that you didn't have to make. It would be easier if you could read an article or a video or sit in a class and people could say like, well, the reason I do it this way is because I tried these other things and they didn't work. So it's cool to see how quickly someone can progress because if you say that, you started piercing or you started an apprenticeship around late 2020. And now, like I look at the work that you put out on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook and stuff like that, and you're doing surface piercings and cool like ear curations and stuff like that, and it just seems like that wouldn't have really been possible 20 years ago because people would have had these years of like grinding and trial and error and failing, but you kind of got to get that get that jump up in a way. And I think it's really cool that you're doing the work you're doing with kind of like a shorter career span so far.
Oh, thank you. I think, well, I'm a father, as I said previously, and I think it's always amazing to see when the previous generation, like generation your peer, like your generation of piercers are put education over their own ego and help educate the next generation. As a father, I look at things that I do to help my daughters overcome certain things, and it's my job to help them not start at point one, start at point 50 or whatever, so that they're further ahead than I'll ever be. We make those sacrifices, we do that trial and error to make everyone's lives better. And I've always found that, at least my experience with the piercing industry, it's always been education over your own ego, making it better for the next generation so they don't have to struggle. And
Hmm.
it makes it over everyone better because why start at point one when you can start much farther ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Like when I was starting out, sometimes you would get access from someone, but you would have to have like an in, you'd have to get an
Yeah.
introduction or you'd have to meet somebody at a conference and then they could say like, "Oh, let me tell you about this tip or trick." So it would really hold you back for a long time. There were years where I was just stumbling my way through it and admittedly, I didn't really know what I was doing and you had to kind of figure it out the hard way. So I think it's cool that people can kind of find their style of learning because like you said, like you might not learn the way that other people want to teach or the way that they want to learn. So if you're more of a visual learner or a hands-on learner or you like to read, you like to watch a video, all those different things are out there now and I think it's great. I really struggled trying to find like little bits and pieces of information when I was earlier on in my career. Like the 3 years, from when you started your apprenticeship to the point where I met you with the scholarship process, like how early on in that process were you kind of labeled as you're the piercer, you're ready to kind of go on your own without direct supervision? Was it a longer apprenticeship process? Was it a shorter apprenticeship process for you?
Well, it was probably a longer one compared to most people, but it was a little bit like a hybrid, I would call it. I was working another job, so I didn't have the full time to put into it. And then also the way the apprenticeship was at my shop, it was a little bit like you learn some piercings and you do them on your own. And then as stuff comes in or as you try to advertise for it, you could do more intricate things. So at the end, I was waiting to do a few more assigned female at birth piercings because it was a little bit more intricate, and we didn't do a lot of assigned male at birth piercings. So trying to get those piercings that are not as common to kind of get the skill down before I would be fully signed off as a piercer, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
like the education process in shops will vary a lot. Like I know that some shops it's like you have to observe the specific thing and then you perform it under supervision and then you can kind of perform it yourself. Like, so I can see that. It does seem like it would be really challenging in ways with the modern piercing industry because people ask for a smaller and smaller menu of things. So when it came to you wanting to learn like intimate work, genital work, was that something where you were kind of putting it out there or you were waiting for people to inquire about it? Like how did you find the people to learn with and practice with?
So I did a little bit of both. If somebody would come into the shop and they'd be like, "Oh, I want to get this specific piercing, let's say a VCH or a Christina." I would say, well, I'm an apprentice. If you are willing to, I would be under supervision. I would be able to do this piercing for you at a discounted price and then have a guarantee of like if something goes wrong, a more experienced piercer would be able to take over for the situation.
Yeah.
But I would also go on social media and post, "Hey, I'm doing these select piercings as an apprentice. Hit me up, stop by so we can discuss this process," and always be very clear my skill level and what was going on. Let them know, hey, build that trust with the client so they know, hey, you're not just someone who doesn't know what they're doing, but you do need some more work and you're working to perfect your skill, is how we
Yeah.
would always do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great because you have to do it to practice it. Like there's only so far that theory can get you. And
Mhm.
I really do respect the generation of Piercer where they have to kind of put themselves out there in that vulnerable way to say like, well, I don't know it all. I would like to learn more and I would like to practice. And you have to kind of have that trust with clients. So I don't know if that's something that people struggle with. Like, did you struggle with putting yourself out there with that kind of vulnerability, or did it just feel like a natural progression for you?
I don't remember really struggling with it. I was always very honest, and at the shop I was at, people were very willing to allow me to do that. But I also think that coming from a background of working a lot of corporate-ish jobs, and I have a variety of jobs that I've worked at, and being a little bit older, I started piercing when I was like 32, 33, I believe. So having that being a little bit older, I was able to present myself in a more mature manner and also a little bit more of like corporate you could say. But also having your education, other education that I had learned, helped me sound like I was educated when I really wasn't in practice, but I was knowledgeable of the things, and it made that client feel comfortable. Like, oh, he's not just coming out of here with no knowledge. He does have that some education. He just has to put it to the test.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think finding your voice, your customer service voice is a big part of it too. Like I talk about that with Lola all the time because we have our like giggling conversations with each other privately, but like if you put us in front of other piercers to talk about something or on the podcast, like we find our professional voice, our kind of customer service voice in a way. And I think that that's just as important of a skill to develop as being able to perform a piercing because like you have to be able to convey information, you have to be able to like build the confidence in yourself, the trust in yourself, and be able to talk to people. And I think that sometimes younger people who haven't had a lot of different job experiences, like whether it's in the corporate world or not, like sometimes communication can be one of the bigger things that they struggle with.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I was very blessed to be able to have the journey I took to piercing, even though it was kind of wonky. And looking back, I wish I could have fast tracked it straight to piercing. But having like 10 plus years of customer service experience definitely helped me manage a lot of things. That's why I'm a big believer that as a most piercers should start out as front desk. You learn the customer service side, how to handle clients, how to work with clients is a really good stepping stone into being a piercer because at the end of the day, you're still doing a customer service. No matter
Yeah.
how skilled you are, it's about that relationship with that client and having that good customer service and giving them that experience that only you can give.
Yeah, and I think it's also important that piercers understand every part of the process. So, like, I want a piercer in my studio to be able to do any task related to piercing, whether it's disinfection or tools and sterilization, jewelry ordering, answering the phone, giving like accurate prices, like all that stuff, troubleshooting, aftercare, all these different things. So I think it's a great path when people start on the desk and work their way up and learn all the individual tasks. I know that people can kind of jump straight to learning the client service part of it, but I think you're going to be a stronger professional with a better chance at like a long-term career if you know all those like foundation things too.
Yeah, 100%.
So in 2023, as I said, I met you as a scholar. So what did it take to get you to the point of submitting an application? Was that something where you knew you wanted to do it, so you just did it? Was that something where you had to be like kind of pushed or pulled into that process by somebody?
I was a little worried about doing it, to be honest. I was like, well, I had a lot of like, I guess, self-limiting ideas of myself. One, part of the scholarship is a financial thing. And at that point, I wasn't like nowhere amazing in my finances, but I was doing better than I'd probably ever done in my life, but still lacking some things and still not able to get to conference. And I remember in my interview with you, I believe it was you had asked, maybe Kale as well, but you had asked, would you be able to come next year? And I said, probably. Like the way things are going, I'll definitely be able to. I just don't see it feasible this year. So that was one limiting thing. I was like, well, maybe I'm not deserving of it because I'm not worse financially off. But then I thought, well, that's not my decision to decide. And I decided that I would put that trust in you guys, everyone made those decisions, you, Kale, Caitlin, anyone else that I may not be aware of. and just open myself up and present myself as honestly as possible and let you guys tell me if I was quote unquote worthy or whatever you want to call it to be a scholar. So there was that. There was, well, I don't have a big online presence. I'm not coming from a well-known shop. All these things that I had to kind of work through myself and not limit myself to say no. And I heard about it coming. It's like, "Ah, I'm not going to apply. I'm not going to do it." And then you had a podcast. I don't remember who it was with, but it was podcast probably November 2022. And it was like, I told myself, you know what? No, don't limit myself, put myself out there, do that work, and do what needed to get done to at least see if I was, even if it was an opportunity for me, because I need to take every opportunity I can get to make myself a better piercer. Because at the end of the day, that's what my clients deserve, and that's also what my family deserves. Because if I'm going to put myself in this career, I need to be my best so I can provide for my family.
Yeah, like I know that there is the financial side of it, and I just want people to be aware of it. Like you don't need to be crawling over broken glass to get to conference, but like there is also a category of piercers where like they want to be kind of in that volunteer group because they can see, you know, opportunities, fellowship, whatever they see from the outside looking in. And it's not about like who's dead broke. It's just about like who's working really hard for it, who doesn't have like all the advantages in the world. Sometimes people apply and they might be in a shop where they have mentors, they have access to jewelry, they have access to information, but that doesn't mean that they're not a strong candidate. So I want people to be aware of the different things that go into the selection process, but I want, you know, everyone who thinks that they would benefit from it, I want them to apply. And right now, you know, like just to kind of say it out loud, like right now is the application process for next year. So if there's somebody out there listening and they're thinking about, well, I want to get to conference, I'm not really sure if I should apply or not, you can go to the APP website. Go to the APP website, safepiercing.org. You can click on the conference category, and then there's all the legacy scholarship information. And just read about the application process, read about the criteria, read about what you need to do to submit. And applications are open until January 1st. So if someone's interested in it, right now is the time to read all that information and start working on your application.
Yeah. It can take a while to do. Like there's a lot of little parts to it, and that's for me, I think the hardest part was one, getting the references from other piercers because I'm more of a introverted person, but I reached out to people I knew. They were more than willing to help me out. And then also the video part, I'm not great at doing the video, so that took me a while to edit that and put that together. But at the end of the day, I would tell anyone if you're interested, don't limit yourself, put yourself out there because there's a lot of good people out there and a lot of good experiences, and you never know what you might find just by being a little bit open.
Yeah, like when it comes to reviewing applications, the same thing with the video. Like we're not looking for somebody to send in like Hollywood quality videos. We understand that most people are just they're just doing it on their phone. They might struggle with something like editing or even just like uploading it online, but we like seeing how people approach that challenge. Sometimes people go into it and you can tell that they've got experience with TikTok or something else for video editing so they can look slick. You can tell that some people maybe struggle with technology, but the point is that they make it through the process. And we see that as their drive and their desire to put forth themselves as a piercer and put together an application. So when you do this stuff, like if you hear there's a deadline on January 1st, you don't want to start looking at the criteria on like Christmas Eve or something. Like you want to have a good application. We can tell when people like throw something together in a day versus when people like prepare something. And we kind of see it. Same thing as like getting any job. Like how prepared are you for the application? Like what kind of drive and hunger do you show as an applicant? So um, I want people to hear your story and the story of other scholars who have come on and they can see like what you can do with the opportunity. If you can get one of those scholarship spots, like what kind of an opportunity it is, and then what can potentially come to you after that opportunity. So what was your first conference like for you? How was it being in Vegas and especially being there as part of the scholar team, the volunteer team?
Well, it was, I mean, as everyone says, it was amazing, life-changing, all those very real, but kind of like tired and cliche things. But I'll say it first. It was scary as crap. I can Are we? I can't. Are we allowed to curse? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I
you can curse. It's okay.
Okay, cool. Uh, yeah. So, and I was scared shitless. I ain't gonna lie. I don't travel a lot. I don't fly a lot. The longest flight ever been like maybe an hour. So traveled to a place like Vegas that was 4.5 hour drive, getting through TSA, all these anxiety-inducing things. And I'm a very introverted person. I remember even going through my interview with Kale, and she was said, "Oh, you're introverted. You have a little social anxiety. Are you going to be okay to do this?" And I thought to myself, I'm not going to let myself lose this opportunity just because I'm a little bit anxious. There's something to challenge myself, work myself through, and just open myself up. And I found that being part of the volunteer group was the best thing for my social anxiety because it forced me to be with other people, and it really helped me get a background view of conference, meet people that I never would have been able to meet if I had just come as a regular conference goer. And it helped me just see a lot of things and see that these are just people and nothing, all these things you might build up in your head by just seeing them online. They're just regular people. They're just honest, good people who want to be helpful. So I got over myself, got to Vegas. I remember getting down, like as soon as I get on this to the airport, get on the plane. Well, after what happens after that, it is what it is. Like I'm gonna get to Vegas and do my thing. Quickly made friends with a bunch of people. Didn't really, I had no maybe one or two people personally that was at conference. And then going through that process, I quickly made friends, and that volunteer group turned into a family. Conference was amazing to go to go to the classes, learn, meet people, go to the expo floor and see all the crazy stuff that I had no idea what was going on, all the jewelry, all the lights, all the motion. Very overwhelming, very overstimulating. And I would go on there for a little bit. I think I went to like I was really looking for just one vendor, sneak to that vendor, sneak off, and the rest of the time like hide away in my hotel room to kind of like decompress. So
Yeah. I know we're a little bit removed from it from 2023, but like were there any standouts as far as like a connection you made with a person or an instructor that resonated with you or a class or anything?
yeah, that's a good question. I made a lot of connections with a lot of people. Like I have my core volunteer group, the volunteer scholars of the 2023. I think there was 10 of us that year, and we still a very close group. We have a little WhatsApp group chat that we talk to each other about, help each other through questions, whether it be like troubleshooting stuff, critique each other's piercings. And it's crazy. I tell people I know people from around the world. Uh, and I know people on the board like Taze Fernandez was in my group, and she is like a secretary to the board. I know Jason D'Souza and all the amazing things he does. Gemma Suter out in England, Matt Clark, Nate Harrier, all these different people that I've got to meet. I have these close connections with that I otherwise wouldn't be able to make. When it comes to classes, that was a while ago. Um, I would say one that I can remember instantly would be the grounding and bedside manner class. I believe I took that year. It
Yeah.
was Cosmo and there was somebody else, but I found that very encouraging because I work a lot on my bedside manner to be able to make the client feel more comfortable and to pick up tips and tricks with stuff like that. Uh, there was, I can't remember the name of the class. There was a class, it was more like a talk APP with Lola, Bethra, and a few other people that also really spoke to me about, I don't know if it was like something overcoming anxiety or something inside the piercing. I can't remember, but it was also another very helpful class to like hear other people's perspective on how they overcome their issues to be a better piercer.
Yeah, like I always hear the theme of imposter syndrome come up every year. You know, leading into conference, coming home from conference, people talk about imposter syndrome a lot. And it almost makes me think like, well, who are the not imposters? Because every instructor I know, like anybody that you mentioned, every instructor, every peer and colleague that I've got to know a little bit, they all have that same thing where they're all kind of like pretending to be the serious adult in the room. So I think that that's like a totally normal instinct. So when you go to a class and you can like the technique stuff is great. The science stuff is great, but I think the communication stuff is some of the most impactful because it makes you feel like, oh, it's okay to like have a slightly different voice, or it's okay what, you don't know what to say in an instance like this, so you hear somebody else's interpretation of it and you're like, it just clicks for you and you're like, oh, that's going to be so much more helpful for me and my clientele. Like communication is one of the harder things to learn. Like you can watch a video, you can read an article about like, hey, pierce this way or pierce that way. But as far as like interacting with someone, it can be really like mind changing to just hear the way that somebody else talks to their clientele. That's been a big impact for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Working through how to communicate with random people you see throughout the day. The shop I started at was a very busy shop, so I'd only have a few moments with clients, and trying to find a way to connect and build a conversation, build that trust. Because I feel that once you get the client to relax and you make a good experience, you are a little less nervous as a piercer, and then you build that connection, you're able to make a much better piercing experience because you can have all the technique, but if you can't calm the client down or make the client uh, feel calm and they trust you, is that experience that great? Because it's all about because we could all have a lot of technique, but the experience and the overall feeling a client gets from that piercing is more important than being able to execute a piercing perfectly.
Yeah. Do you pierce younger kids? Like do you pierce like earlobes for younger kids, or are you mostly like teens and adults?
Oh, so my previous shop, and if we need to cut this out, we can. I would pierce babies, and I
Uh-huh.
don't really have a problem with that. And I do also pierce younger kids. At the new shop I'm working at, I start at 5 years old and up. And I will say that like I struggled with being able to pierce babies, but it wasn't until a podcast that you had, Alicia, that helped me be okay with doing that. The way she presented it kind of helped me see that there are some real issues that people have with that, but at the end of the day, culture is consent, and by able to provide a high quality experience for that family, you're doing a great service.
Yeah.
And I found myself like I've cried with clients as I pierce their babies by being able to give them that experience and being in a room full of love and joy of helping. Like it's a real, I would say the baby piercing is actually piercing baby earlobes is actually like a rite of passage for the parents. It's harder on the parents to see their newborn go through that experience, and you're being a tool to help that and create this safe environment for it. But I also do work a lot on piercing like older kids, like 5 and up. And I found that being a father has really helped me connect with these kids because it allows me to be goofy, silly, and just talk to them in a way that makes them feel validated and helps them know, hey, I know you're scared. That's very normal. We all get scared, but you're going to do great. And I find that mainly young girls is who I pierce when at that age. They're braver and stronger than a lot of the 30-year-old men I pierced an earlobe on. They'll sit there, they'll do great and just be like a champ, whereas the adult men are just like, ouch, and freak out a lot more sometimes.
I enjoy piercing like most little kids, and like my favorite experience for piercing kids is like when they find their own personal bravery through the piercing process, like when it's their procedure, it's their kind of like their pacing. Like I don't personally pierce babies. Like I don't see anything wrong with it. Like I'm not gonna
Yeah,
like tell someone if they're doing it that they're doing something unsafe or immoral or something like that, because like a lot of this stuff is, like you said, it's from a specific culture, that the family, it might have just been a tradition going back however long, their parents and their parents and their parents all got pierced when they were kids. So if you take away that option of uh, safe piercing, safe jewelry, good, all the things that go with it, aftercare, sterilization, all those things. If you remove that as an option for someone, what are they left with? They're left with going to the mall or going to someone else who might not have the safety training. So I can totally see the flip side. Like if a piercer doesn't want to offer that, I think that that's perfectly within their professional rights. Go ahead and don't offer it. But I think it's kind of unnecessary and maybe a little bit silly to like choose somebody out over the professional service that they might offer for consenting parents and the cultural ties to that. So for me, I'm a 6 and up piercer. That's
Mhm.
been like my comfort zone. Like I'm not a parent, so sometimes I struggle to find the right communication style with the child. Like my favorite communication style is like, "What's your favorite dinosaur?" kind of thing.
That's
Um,
perfect.
so like sometimes when kids are really scared, I might not have all the tools to understand like why they're scared, what's making them nervous, and to try to like pull them to a place of being centered. So I struggle sometimes with kids, but I think that it's like it's a big net positive for me because when I have the good experiences with kids, where they're like, nope, mom can sit right there. I don't need to hold her hand. And yeah, I'm ready. And all that stuff. Like, I think it's really cool to see like a child's confidence be woken up by something like a piercing. I love to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things because you're dealing with someone who is still learning how to express themselves, but it is so rewarding to help them find that strength within themselves to
Yeah.
overcome this obstacle. And then they realize how brave they are. I even misquote Winston Churchill and say, he always said, courage is not the absence of fear, courage is seeing the fear and still going through it. And I
Mm.
say that to those kids, and it really helps them understand, yeah, I'm strong, I'm courage. Being afraid is part of being life, but having the courage to push through that fear is what makes you a great human being.
Yeah, I know it's a really minor thing. Like when these kids grow up, they might not even remember who pierced them. They might remember some like little parts of the experience or something, but it's formative. And I like that I can help a young person to kind of like, find themselves through life. So whether it's a young kid or a teen or an adult or someone who's going through big life changes and like the piercing is affirming for them in some way, like that's the special part for me. Like I know with body piercing now it's really turned into like it's a retail service and sometimes we're a little bit disposable and like people might not remember us or even like the name of the shop they went to, but they got a safe piercing and hopefully that helps them in some way in life. So for you, like starting out in a newer studio, going through your apprenticeship and kind of like getting your initial experience that way, what are some of the things like if within your own comfort zone, what are some of the things that led to you making this career change to a new studio?
Yeah, there was a lot of factors that led to this. One, I knew that I didn't want to stay in the area I was at for the rest of my life. I wanted to go somewhere else. Not just for me and my piercing career, but also for my wife's career. She's about to finish up college. She's going to get her bachelor's in mechatronics, and she'll
Wait, and
be,
bachelor's in what?
yeah, mechatronics. It's a word that is not made up, apparently, that I just learned. She hit me up one day. She's like, "Yo, I'm gonna go get my associates in mechatronics." I'm like, "Mechatronics? I'm pretty sure that's made up." And I looked it up. I'm like, "Okay, it has to do with like electrical engineering, biomed stuff. A lot of stuff I don't understand." I tell people all the time because I'm a college dropout, that my wife is the smart one and I'm the dumb one in the relationship because she's doing advanced level stuff that I don't understand, but I love it for her because that's what makes her happy.
Yeah.
So partially the move was to help her find a better career field because we did not think that she would find good options in the area that we were at, but also just wanting to expand. And I think that getting out of your comfort zone of it and going to a new shop is kind of a rite of passage for a piercer because it really pushes you to learn new clientele, learn new jewelry, learn new ways of doing things. And I always love to go and experience. I shadowed a good bit before. I shadowed a couple times just to kind of learn how other shops do things to make myself a better piercer. Because every piercer you talk to, you're going to learn something on how what to do, what not to do, ways that are going to work better for you. So it makes you more well-rounded. So that was one aspect. And also just I also ended up moving closer to a lot of my immediate family. my brothers, my sister-in-laws, my parents. So a lot of factors played into this, but overall, it was just mainly from my growth as a piercer to go outside of the studio that I started out and really see if I had what it took to go to a different shop. Because I felt like I wasn't proven until I proved myself at a different location, people who could see, all right, this is where you're making mistakes. And when I went up there to the new studio, I said, hey, this is who I am. I know I need some work. I'm willing to work, critique me as much as possible, make me a better piercer, a better person. And I think that also really helped me in my journey because I'm very open to the critiques and criticisms because I know that I have a lot to work on if I wanted to step my game up. I remember one podcast you had talked about how after 3 or 4 years you're still like a baby piercer. And I was like, that's crazy. 3 or 4 years of doing something and you're still like a baby. But then I realized that as I hit 3 or 4 years in, I was like, oh, I don't really know how to pierce a dot. I'm just kind of winging it and I get lucky. Or Tragus or what have you. I'm learning more and more what's causing it to make what mistakes I'm making that are causing the piercing to come out crooked, how to actually pierce correctly. And as they say, the more you know you don't know, or something along those
Mm.
lines. So it really helped me see that, okay, put me in perspective. I don't have to know everything in 3, 4, 5 years. I'll spend the rest of my life learning this and then maybe eventually understand how to pierce a doth correctly or whatever. So.
Yeah, I think sometimes you hear the 10,000 hour thing. Like, you have to put in 10,000 hours to really get good at something. And I think that depending on how often you're working, a couple of shifts here and there or like full time, it can take you years. And like there are definitely these chapter points that I can remember in my career where I thought I knew it all. And then I was exposed to new information or new something and then realized like, oh, like I don't really know half of what I would like to. So all those different encounters, like getting out into other shops, getting to different conferences and seeing how people are doing things in different shops in different countries. Um, to kind of go back a little bit to, you mentioned shadowing. How did you get that going? Was that something where it was a connection you made at conference or online? Like how did you reach out? How did you put yourself out there to say, can I come and check out what you do? Can I hang out for a little while? Like how did shadowing come about for you?
Well, my first shadowing experience was at a shop about an hour away from where I lived at. But I had some friends that I'd known years ago, the same shop that put me onto your podcast and the scholarship and APP and all that. I had reached out to them and said, "Hey, would you be open to a shadow if I came and shadowed just to learn and be out of the way, just hang out with you guys for the day?" And they were very open with it. I had made those connections years ago. I I was I was friends with a tattoo artist and met them. They were kind of from the same little small town of Sumter, South Carolina, that we had all kind of been from that area, so that kind of made things easy. And then at the shop I'm at now, Embellish Me, uh, I I think someone had posted something about education, and they were working up there, Brian Belcher, and I just hit him up and I was like, "Hey, are you guys opening the shadowing?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, come on up." They got it approved with the shop owner, Rebecca. I came on, hung out with them for the day, took the day off, found it very informative. And then I did my third shadowing at a place in Charleston, South Carolina, Mola Piercing. I made that connection through a conference, actually. One of their piercers was a volunteer. I had met like their studio manager, and they said, "Yeah, come on on." And I took the time shadow because I think it's really worth an investment. Sure, you're not working, might cost you gas money, but you're really putting yourself out there and making that opportunity and really learning a lot of just how people work. And it's really worth it. Plus, you get to go visit somewhere. Uh, so I've been all over the state just learning from different people, which has been great to be able to do stuff.
Do you have advice for like there have been a couple of different things that sort of fall into like the the confidence column for me. Like, you applied to a scholarship, you contacted people about shadowing. Some people might feel really intimidated by stuff like that. So, do you have maybe any advice for someone who might be listening to you talk and not sure how they can get into a similar scenario? Like, what advice would you give somebody?
My advice would be, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, do not limit yourself. I'm actually not a very confident person. I just knew that I needed more to do better in life. And I knew that I couldn't allow my lack of confidence to limit myself. So I would say first, give people an opportunity. Say, hey, if there's someone local in your area that you want to hit them up. If they say no, it's okay. There might be someone else that's better out there. Maybe they're going through something. Don't take that no as like a very negative thing and be hard on yourself. Be like, okay, because there was other places I had hit up and the timing just wasn't right. And later on, I was able to meet up with them. Or some people just aren't in that space and learn that the people that are, and there's a lot of them, are willing to help you. I've hit up several people. I remember I was looking at someone's post and I was like, "Hey, do you mind asking me why that piercing was bad? Because I don't really see a problem with it." And they explained it to me. And know that for every maybe one bad person, there's probably 15, 20 good people out there that are willing to be helpful. You can even hit me up. I'm more than willing if you have any questions to go over anything with anybody. If anyone does want some help, just understand that some people just go through stuff and don't take it as a negative response. And for every closed door, there's that right open door. So just keep pushing until you find that person that's willing to help you. Because there's a lot of really good people in this industry, which is why I love being a volunteer. It gives me the opportunity to give back to this community that's given me so much. And I think that's something that is started almost from the beginning because I read a lot of like running the gauntlet and just learned like a lot of approach and even meeting Jim Ward in person, how he should have the biggest ego of anybody, but he's the nicest person I've ever met, just willing to give you a hug. He doesn't even know your name. He just likes that you're there and that you're part of this community.
Yeah, yeah. That's always really special about the people who have been around for decades and who are still here. It's like they're still here because like they love it. They love it and they love the community and they love to share and meet new people. So I think that's great information.
Thanks.
Uh, is there anything else that you'd want to chat about? Anything else on your mind?
No, I think I kind of said everything.
Okay.
I feel pretty good. Like I said everything I needed to say.
All right. Well, one more time for people. What's your social media? Like if people wanted to ask your advice or just follow your work, like where would they follow you or contact you?
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram, The Poetic Piercer. That's mainly where I'm active. I also have Facebook, The Poetic Piercer. Don't use it as much, or my personal Facebook, which is pretty much just the same as my Instagram. My name, Jonahan Goshorn. Hit me up with any questions you got. I'd be more than willing to answer anything or point you towards people in your area that might be helpful.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that we got something recorded. I know we've been talking about it for a little while, so I'm glad that we had some time that matched up.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate this opportunity. It means a lot. It's very, this year has been really big for me to check off a lot of big things that I wanted to do. Got to do my first guest piercing, got to go to a new studio, got to be on the podcast, which is kind of like surreal for me. And then my goal by the end of the year is to fill out that questionnaire so I can be an APP member. So,
Awesome. Awesome. Well,
yeah.
like that's amazing to see that, especially I would see this as a relatively short amount of time. Like if I think back to all the different chapter points in my life, the whole COVID pandemic era was very recent, the last 5 years, seeing you go from counter person to apprentice to scholar piercer and guest piercer and prospective APP member in the future, like all that stuff is a huge amount of growth. So I don't want you to lose track of any of that stuff, and I think you should be really proud of all the growth you've achieved.
Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate those kind words. That's very kind of you.
Well, keep people engaged. If you know anybody who would be good for a scholar application, definitely point them towards the APP website. If there's anybody listening to this episode, like these are achievable goals for you. So, if you need that helping hand of getting to conference, go to the APP's website, safepiercing.org, read up on what you need to do to apply for a legacy scholarship, and get your application in. Put the time into it, put together a good application that shows who you are as a person and as a piercer, and let's try to get you out to Vegas, just like Jonathan.
Oh yeah, we could always use more ducks for the family.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a little cult. Like it's cool because like I've known Caitlin for a good long while, and I think that the main thing that keeps Caitlin, because Caitlin isn't a body piercer, has never been a body piercer, but they're like massively impactful on the body piercing community, and I think it's because that's what it is to her. It's like that's her community, and like those are her family members, and like the Duck Army, the Duck family. It's really cute to see all those individual people go out into the world and see their positive influence on body piercing as a community. It's really special to see it. So I'm glad that you got a spot, and I'm glad that you're part of the community.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity.
Cool. All right. Well, that's going to be it for me for now. And yeah, anything else you want to do for a sign off?
I didn't think that through. Be kind to yourself. I don't know.
That works for me.
Okay.
Uh, For more information about the show, visit piercingwizardpodcast.com or like Piercing Wizard Podcast on Facebook. For more info about your host, visit precisionbodyarts.com or search Ryan PBA on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr. If you enjoy the show, you can subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcast, and Google Play. Music by Benny B. Blanco. Show copyright 2017, Precision Body Arts LLC, all rights reserved. All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording. I'm probably going to need a couple of weeks to review this, edit it, put it together, and everything. So it'll probably go up either late November or early December.
Cool. I look forward to hearing myself, which is always, I don't know how you do it. I just think about listening to myself, my voice. I'm like, ugh, well, I'll be able to sit through my own podcast.
Yeah, well, so like I earlier on, I would go back and listen, and I would be so annoyed about like filler phrases is something that I would bring up, like how some people say like ums and ahs, but some people have like a very specific filler phrase, and it drove
hmm
me nuts because for years I would lead every thought with saying. So it'd be like, I'm doing this and that, and and sometimes like in an episode, I would say, like 50 times, and it drove me nuts once I started noticing. So I think that that's been the bigger thing for me is it's not the sound of my voice, it's the filler phrases that are like nails on chalkboard to me sometimes.
Oh, I get
Yeah.
that.